Hey, everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, August the 1st, with warrior, assertive, impatient Mars aligning with rebellious, explosive Uranus. This can trigger a lot of anger and tension individually. But since this is a major planetary event, I am sure there's going to be some kind of major disruptions, from protests to violence, maybe a major earthquake. The peak of it is on Monday, August the 1st. But these really disruptive energies that could affect the population, that could affect the earth, it could be happening a week before, a week or so afterwards. It's just Monday is when this energy is really peaking. Now, the moon will be in Virgo, which is a good thing because Virgo and the moon represents the public reaction. Virgo is more sensible, more practical. It's an earth sign, being more grounded to handle any kind of sudden upsets. I would avoid anything that is driving too fast. You could be being accident prone. You could be pulling a muscle, as Mars also rules the muscles in astrology. Now, this moon in Virgo will go void, of course. As I mention every week, when it's void, the moon's not making any other planetary aspects, so the energy is flat. And when the energy is flat, you don't want to start anything new, hoping for a favorable outcome, because the energy is just not there. This moon void, of course, will be 3:29 p.m. Pacific time through 9:06 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon then shifts into Libra for the next couple of days. Libra is more seeking harmony, seeking more peace. It wants to be more social. And on Tuesday, with the moon in this sociable Libra energy, Venus, the ruling planet of Libra, Venus of love, pleasure seeking, peace, Venus will be in harmony the first half of the day, mainly with exciting, unexpected Uranus. Venus-Uranus could be a sudden infatuation or hearing about a sudden party and social event. Then more midday Pacific time through the rest of the day, then the Venus, as it's pulling away from unexpected, exciting Uranus, is now giving a favorable transit to Mars, impatient, assertive Mars. Venus-Mars can be very physically active. That could be great for dancing, as an example, because the Venus is the creative, or any type of physical activity, which with others, which you're really enjoying yourself. Team sports, as an example. On Wednesday, the moon continues in sociable Libra, but will be in a challenging aspect to Venus by around 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for those next 2 hours. The moon wants emotional bonding. Venus wants romance and love. But when these two planets are at tension with each other, you may be expecting too much. You may not be on the same page with friendships, with romance, but it's only really strong for at least an hour, maybe a little longer. Then mid-afternoon, peaking by 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time, now the moon will be in harmony with pragmatic, practical Saturn. So earlier, if there was any kind of relationship mishap, misunderstanding, Venus is also a planet of money. So if there was some financial worries, mishaps, Then when the moon hits Saturn later in the day, mid-afternoon Pacific time, the Saturn will help resolve any relational problems, resolve any financial problems, because the Saturn is compelling you to be more pragmatic, more sensible, more practical. On Thursday, the moon leaves that fair-minded Libra and goes into passionate all-or-nothing Scorpio at 4:47 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for the next 2.5 days. Moon in Scorpio, there might be a general sense, since the moon triggers the public response, to be more private, to be more introspective. It can be more favorable for counseling, for having an astrology reading, doing some investigation or research, because Scorpio is pulling us inward. Friday, with the moon in this intense Scorpio that desires privacy most of the time, mid-afternoon Pacific time, the moon will be at odds with unexpected Uranus. And a couple of hours later, around 6 p.m. Pacific time, now the moon will be in confrontation to Mars, because that Mars-Uranus are still traveling close to one another. The moon-Uranus could indicate by mid-afternoon some unexpected emotional surprises that could trigger a couple of hours later some anger, some arguments. So this would be a good time with the moon in Scorpio to be alone, to meditate, to be more introspective. Don't let the outside events take you out of control. Saturday, the moon in Scorpio will be void of course. Don't make any important decisions. Don't begin anything new from 4:24 a.m. Pacific time till 9:39 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes into Sagittarius. Now, this is interesting as an astrologer, because the public tone with Scorpio is to pull within, be more private. But then when the moon goes into Sagittarius once a month, Sagittarius is very adventurous, it's outgoing, it's very friendly, wants to explore the world. And that's great for the weekend, for partying and socializing. Now, the moon, the emotional moon, will be in tension with rational communication Mercury around 5-6 p.m. Pacific time. That's when there could be, for an hour or so, more prone to misunderstandings, jumping to conclusions. Sunday is a very important date astrologically. Venus, pleasure-seeking romantic Venus, twice a year, will be in harmony with dreamy romantic Neptune. That Venus-Neptune can trigger a lot of creative energy, fantasy, inspiring the imagination. However, on the same day, assertive Mars will be blocked or restricted by Saturn, restricted Saturn. So the Mars-Saturn can indicate there's a lot of hard work to be done, or you're feeling really overwhelmed and frustrated with all the work, all the responsibilities that you need to attend to. However, the pleasure-seeking Venus is in harmony with Neptune. And it's a Sunday. So I could see a lot of people looking at all that hard work, all that responsibilities, and decided to go to escape all that fundamental responsibilities, push it off till Monday. And with Venus to Neptune, you might be escaping with music, with theater, with film. So instead of doing the work, you may just be vegging out watching your preferred, like Netflix, Amazon, etc. So this is a very active week astrologically. A lot of really exciting energy wants to come in, but you want to be very focused and pace yourself so the energy doesn't get ahead of you. So I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.